Hi, I'm Steve Parker, and today I'm sharing my 2025 travel tech kit. Let's fly. I love tech and photography equipment, but as a remote solopreneur, I also have to travel light. It's taken me a few years to assemble a kit for remote work and content creation, and I put a lot of time and effort into it, so I thought it would be helpful to share my 2025 tech for working abroad. This list of gear is not the latest or the most expensive equipment. In fact, much of my gear was assembled starting about 3 years ago at the time I began my business. So I'll be straight up and tell you that you can find more expensive equipment. You can find, yes, more powerful equipment. But in terms of the value to size and weight when it comes to productivity, I believe this list will be valuable to you as perhaps a starting point or maybe a comparison to your own equipment. To begin, let's first talk about how I travel with my tech. Everything of any real value travels with me in my carry-on. This is the biggest constraint for any remote worker, and let's be honest, this tech is expensive and it's our cherished traveling studio, so I baby my equipment during travel. Having a tough carry-on case as a remote solopreneur is crucial, and for me, that's the Pelican Air 1535 case. It's a no-brainer for protecting everything from cameras and lenses to computers and power banks. This case is lightweight, yet incredibly durable. And for even better tech protection, I recommend purchasing the customizable Trek Pack dividers and foam inserts for the case. This package gives me peace of mind that my gear is secure because it's compartmentalized and has foam inserts for shock absorption. Let's take a closer look at the Pelican Air. Most importantly, this case is crush-proof and dust-proof with a watertight O-ring gasket and an automatic purge valve that balances air pressure inside the case for air travel. The exterior dimensions are designed for the maximum allowable airline carry-on size. The 1535 is based on the popular Pelican 1510 case, but is about 40% lighter than it in other polymer cases with its lightweight HPX resin. It comes with Pelican's lifetime guarantee, and the case features rolling wheels, extending trolley handle, double throw latches, stainless steel, hasp protectors, rubber overmolded handles, and a card holder for front or side placement. And for security, I also use the Apple AirTags. One goes in my Pelican case, one in my backpack, one in my main check-in luggage, and one that's hidden. These tiny trackers ensure that I can always locate my gear, even in crowded airports or remote locations. Let's take a closer look at the Apple AirTags. To track my equipment and luggage, I use 4 Apple AirTags. One on the Pelican case, and one I have hidden inside the foam of the case. Obviously, you need to be in the Apple ecosystem for these to make sense. But if you are, the AirTags keep track of and find your items and devices in the Find My app. They are simple one-tap setup and instantly connects with your iPhone or iPad. And when needed, they will play a sound on the built-in speaker to help find your things, or you can just ask Siri for help. One of my clients and I were curious about knowing how Apple works at such a long range, and it turns out Apple does this with something called ultra-wideband technology, which can lead you right to your nearby AirTag using a newer iPhone or iPad. The tech also allows you to find items further away with the help of hundreds of millions of Apple devices in the Find My network. You can put AirTag into lost mode to be automatically notified when it's detected in the Find My network. As a remote content creator and developer, having reliable internet is a must. And the Starlink Mini is my go-to solution for satellite internet anywhere. Whether I'm in the middle of the mountains, like here in the Andes, or in an urban area, it ensures that I have fast, reliable internet connection to upload videos, work remotely, and stay connected. Let's take a look at the Starlink Mini. The Starlink Mini Internet Kit Satellite 4th Generation Portable Antenna with Phased Array Technology is the unit that I have. And the Starlink Mini is perhaps the most important aspect of my travel tech kit. I'm guessing that for you too, you might want to seriously consider getting a Mini for satellite connectivity. What made me pull the trigger was that this little device can run off a 100-watt power bank, which makes it perfect for working off the grid or downtimes like during the recent blackouts here in Ecuador in late 2024. I won't go through all the stats or the setup, but I will share a perk and some advice if you decide to purchase. Starlink documentation says that it uses satellite relays to connect to its ground stations, so your IP address is often tied to the location of the ground station your signal is routed through. However, I've noticed that in many cases the IP address is routed through the US, and I use this to my advantage. For example, when I'm having issues with my VPN, I can connect to US sites with Starlink with usually no issue. This might be helpful if you're trying to access websites as if you're in the US, or for example, when you might want to get US content from streaming services. If you're considering a Starlink Mini, I encourage you to purchase it in the country you're working in other words, outside of the US, as the costs for both the hardware and the service were considerably less for me when I ordered from Ecuador. In my case, I worked with my Airbnb host to obtain an Ecuadorian citizen ID, which was required during the ordering process. And it took about 2 weeks to get here from the US through customs via DHL. The cost was approximately $200 for the hardware, and the monthly unlimited service is $99 a month. And the nice thing is you can stop and start that service as needed. The Starlink network has provided me with reliable, high-speed transmission with the Starlink V4 Portable. This powerful internet router has been smooth with mostly buffer-free streaming here in the Andes. And I typically see download speeds in between 100 and 150 megabits per second. The setup and installation is incredibly easy, and the companion Starlink app assists you with alignment and warns you of obstructions. I actually have mine right next to a brick wall, and it doesn't seem to affect speeds that much, although it does complain about it. My only complaint is that the Wi-Fi range isn't that impressive. It works well in one story of an Airbnb, just fine though. The best part about the Starlink Mini is that it's compact and portable. So for solopreneurs like me working remotely, it's a travel-friendly solution, and most importantly, the unit draws about 40 watts, making it possible to work with power bricks, which are the next item in my kit, as I need to keep all this tech powered up. I have 2 different brands of power banks that I brought to Ecuador with me, and I brought 2 of each brand. Moving to Ecuador in the midst of a drought with power outages for up to 14 hours per day was a huge challenge. And I needed not only battery-powered devices, but also I needed solid power backup in multiple units and connections. However, because as travelers were limited not only by space and weight, but also by what the airlines and the TSA, if you're traveling through the US, will allow you to bring on board. Originally, I purchased a 300-watt power bank, but I quickly learned that there's a 100-watt limit by the TSA. Delta Rep helped me sort it out, so that one I gave to my mom, and I chose 2 different brands of power banks, both of which are 100-watt. Let me tell you, they have been an absolute lifesaver. First, let's talk about the larger ones. I use what's called a portable power bank with AC outlet, 100-watt portable laptop charger. This unit I use more for my power-intensive devices like my Starlink Mini and my MacBook Pro. It's an off-brand, but it does have this 110-volt AC outlet and the 27,000 milliamp hour battery. And let me tell you, it will power my laptop for hours. The size and weight of this unit is larger than many 100-watt power banks, but I was willing to make that sacrifice, given that I could get a steady 40 watts through the AC outlet. The units do have a 65-watt PD input and output, which is a perfect solution for most USB-C devices. And their fast recharging capabilities through that Type-C port allows the large capacity power bank to be fully recharged in about 1.5 hours, saving a ton of time. Each unit has 4 output ports to power multiple devices at once. There is the 110-volt 100-watt AC port, the 65-watt PD Type-C port, a 12-watt USB port, and an 18-watt USB port. So you can charge your laptop, phone, tablet, computer, and earphones with one unit. Okay, next let's talk about the UGREEN 20,000 milliamp hour power bank that I have. I have two of these UGREEN 100-watt power banks, and many times both are in my backpack working in the park and are now my go-to for primarily powering my phone and my laptop because they're super portable. They are monsters for fast charging with two USB Type-C ports and one 22.5 watt USB-A port. And this 3-in-1 fast charging allows me to charge my MacBook Pro, my iPhone, and my AirPods all at the same time. The units can be used to charge a MacBook Pro 16 to almost 50% power within just 30 minutes, and they can charge my iPhone 13 to 75% of power in 30 minutes. They include a smart digital display to share the progress and have advanced technology batteries that are significantly lighter than many other power banks I've used, weighing in at just 14.82 ounces or 420 grams. The UGREEN power packs are airline approved and you can use them during flight. You can charge the power bank fully in approximately 90 minutes. Okay, let's get to some of the more serious equipment. For starters, let's chat about my Sony a6600 with the Sigma 60mm lens and the cage that I bought for it and some of the peripherals. At the core of my content creation and video calls, I rely on the Sony a6600 along with the Sigma 16mm f1.4 lens. Absolutely, they're a fantastic combination. As a professional photographer, if space and weight didn't matter, a full frame is always the call. But for remote work, an APS-C compact body makes the most sense. For me, this a6600 ticks off a lot of boxes for a $1,000 prosumer camera. First off, it uses the MPFC 100 full-frame battery, which was a huge upgrade from its predecessors like the famous Sony a6000. Next, it's the world's fastest autofocus at 0.02 seconds with real-time autofocus and object tracking, and the camera has a 24.2 megapixel Z-More sensor, which sustains 11 frames per second, which is really amazing. I don't use it very much as I don't shoot much action sports, but it might work for you. The Sigma lens allows me to capture a wide, sharp shot, which is particularly good for vlogs and talking head videos like this one. The Sigma 16mm is legendary for its price point at under $400, and it's super compact for a 16, so it's very portable. To help with the camera peripherals, I use a SmallRig cage, and it lets me attach any tripod and key accessories like lights and mics very easily. I've linked the SmallRig cage for the Sony Alpha 6600 down in the description below if you're interested. One important piece of equipment for me is an HDMI mini to regular HDMI adapter, which is secured by the cage to protect the small delicate port, and it allows me to connect and disconnect my Razer Ripsaw very easily, so I can record or live stream to OBS. I invested in a good quality HDMI cable and also a SanDisk 128 gigabyte SD card as well. Taking a look at the capture card, you have a lot of capture card options, but I'm a gamer, so I wanted to have the option for 4K 60 FPS pass-through for smooth gameplay for uninterrupted video. And even though I'm not a streamer, I knew this would help with presentations when I needed to demo some computer action while also capturing my image from the camera. It also works to stream console gaming if that's something that you need. I had one slot left in my Pelican Air, so I threw in a Sony 18 to 105 millimeter, the ever popular consistent f4 aperture lens that has zoom capabilities that make it great for capturing a wide range of shots without needing to change lenses. Whether I'm filming wide landscapes or getting close-ups in a dynamic environment, this lens gives me the flexibility to adapt quickly to different scenarios. Part of the lens is, as I mentioned, the constant f4 aperture, which is maintained throughout the zoom range, which is ideal for video, and it has a smooth power zoom that doesn't extend the barrel because the lens movements are all internal, which makes it great for a gimbal. This was the first Sony G lens created specifically for E-mount cameras and is true to its heritage, achieving outstanding resolution and contrast throughout the zoom range thanks to advanced optical design incorporating 2 ED glass elements and 3 aspherical elements. From wide range to medium telephoto, this power zoom lens covers approximately a 6x zoom range with that constant f4 aperture. And while this is touted to be a video lens, I can confirm that it takes excellent still shots. I paired this lens with a trio of PolarPro neutral density and polarization filters that combine these 2 popular effects into one. The filters combination helps slow down shutter speeds while enhancing contrast and color saturation, making your photos and videos more vibrant and detailed. I don't have a variable because I'm not a fan of them, but I think the Peter McKinnon Chroma and Mist editions are worth checking out, so I link those in the description below. All right, now let's talk action cams, which are great for getting outdoor footage. For those of you that want to get really creative with your content or are into extreme sports, the Insta360 is an impressive action camera. My focus isn't on sports, but this tiny 360-degree camera will allow me to capture immersive spherical footage, which is perfect for the high elevation scenery here in the Andes. And I like it for hiking, walking tours, or just for capturing a unique perspective. I have the X3 model, which you can get for a steal nowadays, but the newer Insta360 X4 with its stunning 8K or 5.7K at 60 frames per second active HDR is truly impressive. It's really freeing not to have to line up your shots. You just shoot whatever, then reframe it easily afterwards with the AI editor. The invisible selfie stick works seamlessly too, and I understand that the X4 has better battery life. If I'm filming some talking head video, I use my RØDE Wireless Go II mics with its special adapter. I'll show you these mics and another that I use in a few moments. This leads me to my favorite camera of all, the Ray-Ban Metas. These glasses are simply incredible. They serve as a pair of prescription glasses, sunglasses with transition lenses, and best of all, as a wearable camera. They allow me to capture high quality video while staying incognito and completely hands-free. I can't even begin to tell you how awesome it is to walk down the street recording without drawing attention to myself or having to carry around expensive gear that thieves are looking for. And as a bonus, I also use the built-in AI to read signs or restaurant menus when I need a quick translation in a pinch. I've even used them in shopping stores to help me locate products on the shelves. They're truly amazing. My personal favorite is this headliner designer style over the Wayfarer or Skylar designs, but they are all timeless designs. And the beautiful Ray-Ban case is packed with a battery which provides portable 8x charging and is super convenient if you're not near a power source. The MetaView app works really well, and it's interesting in that it sets up a Wi-Fi connection to the phone to download media from the device quickly and wirelessly. The camera format, being from Meta, is set up for stories and reels, but I've had no issues cropping the video from its ultra-wide 12 megapixel camera for YouTube. Even though it's designed primarily for social media, let me tell you, the quality of the video that comes out of this tiny camera is just simply amazing. I haven't tried it, but you can now use the Ray-Bans to live stream what you see and hear. And one of my favorite features is the discrete open ear speakers that provide rich sound without losing touch with my surroundings or having to have my earphones in my ears. And unless somebody is right next to you, nobody can really hear what you're listening to. Sometimes the easiest solution for capturing content is your smartphone. So I want to also mention my iPhone 13. And while it's not the latest or greatest model, the camera quality is still amazing for a 3-year-old model. And it's simply the handiest device for capturing images on the go. It's perfect for B-roll video, and combined with the HDR mode of Lightroom, it works perfectly for social media content. I purchased a SmallRig cage for my iPhone 13. These devices provide better framing control with the slots for handle grips and threads for monopod or tripod attachments. The frames have a ton of standard 1/4" 20 anti-twist threaded holes and a cold shoe mount that allows you to attach lens filters, microphones, and lights, which can really elevate the quality of your mobile video production while still keeping your rig simple and light if you don't want to break out a larger camera. The newer SmallRig cages, such as the one I have linked in the description for the iPhone 16, enable you to keep a third-party phone case on when using the device. They also now provide slots to fit a T-mount lens backplate for filter accessories. All the SmallRig phone cages are designed to allow convenient use of all the buttons, ports, radar, and ultra-wide angle lens, as well as wireless chargers. It will not affect the normal use of your mobile phone. Audio is just as important as video, and I'm a big fan of RØDE mics, so I use 2 different portable models. The first is the RØDE Wireless Go II, and the second is a shotgun mic, which I put on my teleprompter. First, the RØDE Wireless Go II provides me with clear wireless audio for everything from outdoor shoots to interviews. It's ultra compact and powerful, giving me flexibility on the move. They're super easy to use, and the transmitters have over 40 hours of onboard recording. I've never had to worry about wireless dropouts. The transmitters can be directly attached to Talent, or you can use a traditional belt pack with a lavalier mic. They're fully compatible with the free Rode Connect podcasting and streaming software for added flexibility when recording, streaming, or video calling from a computer. As I mentioned earlier, I also have an adapter for use with the Insta360, where the receiver sits on a special attachment at the base of the unit and between a tripod or a selfie stick. When you use it with a selfie stick, it is also hidden like the stick, but the audio is combined directly with the video in the unit for easier editing later. Second, I have the RØDE VideoMicro, which sits atop my teleprompter, which is attached to my Sony a6600. The teleprompter makes it easy to read scripts while filming, which I'll talk about in a moment. The tiny shotgun mic gives me focused directional audio, ideal for controlled environments like in a portable studio setting, for scripted videos just like this one. It's super portable at 3 inches long and 1.5 ounces. Next, let's touch briefly on my teleprompter. I'm using an inexpensive model called the Ambitful 7.5-inch mini teleprompter. It's a no-frills teleprompter, but it's working perfectly. You can use this tech for live streaming, interviews, online conferences, or for producing videos like this one. The unit comes with an adapter ring, actually a number of them, to allow you to support wide-angle lenses with a focal length of 35 millimeters or more. And for projecting your scripts onto the glass, it has a smartphone expansion cradle that securely holds your mobile phone running the teleprompter software. As mentioned earlier, the unit has an integrated cold shoe on top, which allows me to attach my RØDE mic, but you could use it for lights or other accessories. I've also included a link for a LENSGO teleprompter that supports walking videography. So if you need something for moving shots with lens focus capabilities, that one might be worth checking out. It's really great for outdoor interviews, vlogs, presentations, and online teaching. It also supports tablets, whereas my Ambitful only works with my smartphone. Okay, now let's get to the heartbeat of my kit, which are two powerhouse computers that I use. First, for ultimate flexibility, I use a 2021 M1 MacBook Pro. It's my go-to computer when working remotely in cafes, parks, or co-working spaces. It's portable and powerful, giving me everything I need for everyday tasks. However, when I need to edit heavier video projects or perform more intense work, my Mac Studio M1 Max is my go-to solution. The M1 Max chip in the Mac Studio handles video rendering and all my content creation with ease, making it my dedicated workhorse for heavy projects. The introduction of Apple's M1 chip was a massive leap in CPU, GPU, and machine learning performance compared to Apple's previous Intel chips. My MacBook Pro comes with 16 gigabytes of RAM, which can handle light video editing. I routinely have my Brave browser open with a dozen or so tabs and always seem to have Photoshop, ChatGPT, and half a dozen other productivity apps open on my laptop, and it never breaks a sweat. To think you can get this computer for $1,100 now is incredible. MKBHD called this computer next level when it was released 3 years ago, and it still is. I just absolutely love it. You should see his video if you haven't, so I'll link it below. Next is my Mac Studio computer. I always recommend you have a backup computer, and ideally one for beefier video editing and power users. My go-to is the Mac Studio M1 Max with 32 gigabytes and 1 terabyte SSD. It's a powerhouse for a relatively low investment. I bought mine for about $2K, but you can get a refurbished M2 Max for $1,750 now, which is an amazing value. And while the M4 Minis are an incredible value for the money, I still like having all the ports and the built-in SD card reader that the Mac Studio offers. I will say though that the size of the Mini combined with its incredibly low price point is incredibly tempting for my travel kit. That could be my go-to for an upgrade. For the Mac Studio, I have a couple of peripherals. I have a Logitech mouse and a Logitech keyboard, but I also pair it with a portable monitor. And for my trip here to Ecuador, I chose an incredibly thin and light UPERFECT 2K 120 Hertz portable gaming monitor. And let me tell you, it's always the last thing to get packed in my equipment. And it actually at 0.4 inches thin, goes in the very top of my Pelican case, inside the top layer of foam. And the nice thing about it too is that it's very lightweight. I think it's 1.7 pounds. And the resolution works at 2560 by 1600 with a brightness of 400 nits. The monitor also comes with VESA mount screw holes and 2 fully featured USB ports as well as a mini HDMI port. It features an IPS matte screen with FreeSync and something the manufacturer calls a smart cover. It's not a stiff screen protector though, but it does enable you to prop up the monitor at 2 different viewing angles. I can tell you after using the 2K model, I recommend purchasing the 3K model if you have the extra money to do so. It's still very affordable at under $300, and it will give you a little bit more resolution, but more importantly, it will give you 500 nits of brightness. That's the model I've linked in the description. If you can afford it, beef up your internal SSD storage. However, if you're like me and use Apple products, you can get much more storage for your money if you go with external drives. You have a ton of options, but I've found that the Kingston XS1000 2 terabyte SSD is perfect for editing, storing, and transferring high-res footage. This little device has proven itself over and over, especially when I'm working between my MacBook Pro and my Mac Studio. I simply love the size of this device. It's super compact and it fits in a pocket. It also comes in a cool red color too, but I didn't have that option when I purchased it. In fact, Kingston makes an XS1000 with transfer speeds up to 2,000 megabits per second. That costs about $150. But the XS1000 I linked in the description operates at speeds of 1050 megabits per second, and the 1 terabyte model is only $75. That's an incredible value for a high-speed SSD with that much storage. And the secret to making these things work is to make sure you have a high-speed cable that uses the USB 3.2 Gen 2 or better capability. I can actually edit video directly off this SSD with a J5 Create USB 4 Gen 3 coaxial cable, which supports 40 gigabits per second data transfer and also 100-watt charging. And I admit it's a bit of an overkill for me, but I like working with basic HD video for fast editing. But if you're into 4K or 8K, this braided cable is the one to have. Not only can it handle large video files, but it supports a single 8K video display at 60 Hertz or 2 4K dual displays. This J5 cable is also backwards compatible with USB 3.2, 3.1, and 3.0, as well as 2.0, and Thunderbolt 3 and Thunderbolt 4 devices. Finally, let's talk about lighting. Good lighting is critical when you're creating content. However, for us remote workers, typical studio lighting just doesn't work when traveling as it's cumbersome and heavy. So I rely on a little bit of magic from Team Aputure. Meet the Aputure Amaran MC. These little lights that I'm using here are small but incredibly powerful. And with 2 of them, you can create hundreds of lighting combinations. Check these things out. Unlike traditional RGB lights that rely on red, green, and blue LEDs, Aputure added 2 additional white LEDs, one balanced at tungsten and a second at daylight, to create an impossibly small light that competes with industry giants. With this tiny, ingenious controller, I can quickly adjust the color temperature from 3200 Kelvin to 6500 Kelvin and the saturation and brightness to match the lighting environment or create the perfect mood for my video in seconds. I won't go into all the stats, but the output and the color range are truly impressive. I haven't found need for them yet, but they also have a number of lighting effects, including paparazzi, fireworks, faulty bulb, lightning, TV, pulsing, fire, party, and cop car. And on top of that, the built-in magnets and the footprint, roughly the size of a credit card, allow the mini RGB light to fit just about anywhere you can imagine. The Amaran MCs can be controlled remotely with Aputure's Sidious Link mobile app, which is really handy if you've placed the lights just out of reach. The MC also has USB-C and QI wireless charging and is always ready to go. I bought a few clamp-on posts and connectors to attach them to tables to point them in any direction. And I even use them as additional lighting inside my Airbnb, which was really handy, particularly when the power was out. I've had these things running for well over 8 hours. So there you have it, my 2025 travel tech kit for working abroad and content creation. Whether you're filming, creating social content, or web developing from anywhere in the world, these tools will help you stay light, connected, and productive. Thanks for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts or questions about any of the gear I mentioned. Leave them in the comments and I'll be happy to help. See you in the next video. Ciao, amigos.